You have resigned from your previous work position as a cabin crew during the pandemic, or perhaps you have even resigned before COVID-19 happened, and now you really want to go back and fly again. I receive very similar questions like this in the same context on my Instagram account, excrewnextcrew, of individuals who have been flying as a cabin crew and have several years of experience as a cabin crew, and now they want to rejoin. And the question is there any fast track at the moment, and when I will be able to rejoin the airline where I have previously resigned from, or join another airline perhaps? Now, this is a question which is pretty much connected to the latest videos that I have shared over here on my Instagram account and on my YouTube channel, actually, which are related to when the aviation is going to recover and is going to bounce back. And I will start from the beginning to give you a proper understanding of where your position is right now as an ex-cabin crew who have resigned. Status of resignation has been or you have been in a position where your status is actually a resigned cabin crew. For those of you that are new on my YouTube channel, a very warm welcome on board excrewnextcrew by Julia George social media learning platforms. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, on Facebook, also on my website excrewnextcrew.com. You may read my blogs as well. Nevertheless, for all the content that is coming, you also might want to click the subscribe button and stay tuned with everything that I publish over here, which is related to the cabin crew topic, how to become a cabin crew, how to sustain in aviation industry, and how to build up a successful career in whatever sector you're going to decide to enroll yourself in when it comes to the aviation industry. And my name is Julia George. I used to fly for Qatar Airways for 10 years, where I have resigned from my last work position as a cabin service director. I'm currently studying Aviation Management Master Program at Wildau Institute of Applied Science in Berlin. Let's start. As stated previously, your position right now is a resigned cabin crew, or you are simply not somebody who is employed in the airline where you have previously worked for. Therefore, from the very beginning, your position is not the same as the laid off and the redundant cabin crew, or this is the same meaning when we talk about redundant and when we talk about laid off. Therefore, the company or the airline where you have been working has simply no obligations towards you. What do I mean when I say this? And when I talk about resigned cabin crew, I am in the very same position as you watching this video if you have resigned, because I also resigned. And what does it mean when we are giving the resignation, famous resignation letter, where basically our contract has been terminated upon our will? And when it comes to the laid off and the redundant cabin crew, their contract has not been finished, or it's not terminated upon their will, upon the will of the company, which later on we come to the fact that the aviation industry simply was terribly affected by the COVID-19 crisis, and therefore they simply do not need cabin crew. One small detail that I have shared in the video of when aviation is going to recover, and again a link of that video will be in the description box below. I have shared with you that pre-pandemic the passenger number that were flying were 4.5 billion in the year 2019. In the year 2020, when the pandemic happened, that number went drastically down to 1.8. The estimation for this year, 2021, is that this year we will have 2.5 billion passengers flying, so we will have the passenger number going up. Nevertheless, you must understand this is a process and it will take time. That also means for you as a resigned cabin crew, it will take time until you are eligible to rejoin the airline upon your will, of course. So let's go back to the company's obligation towards you. When your airline or the airline you were working for will be needing more crew, and believe me, this is something that happens on daily basis, as governments are removing their restrictions, are easing the restrictions when it comes to opening their borders, when it comes to issuing visa, etc., etc. So therefore, the frequency of the flights has been increased, or it is increasing on daily basis. With having this said, we are witnessing that many laid off and redundant crew are having discussions on social media platforms where they share that they have been called back. They are very happy, and we are also very inspired to read and hear stories like this. I enjoy personally whenever I read that somebody is going back and flying, somebody who has been redundant. However, your status as a resigned cabin crew, somebody who has willingly resigned before the pandemic, or when the pandemic happened due to extra your personal reasons, will be as a new candidate who's going to join. And when I say new candidate, you will certainly have the fast track. I do believe, this is my honest opinion, we are all witnessing that pre-pandemic the cabin crew who wanted to rejoin the airline were having a separate place on the irrespective website of the airline where you were working for, where your managers or the human resources teams were taking into consideration the time that you have previously spent within the company. Unfortunately, this is not something that is applicable to all the candidates. I'm interacting with candidates who have regularly resigned as a cabin crew, and they have been having several attempts to rejoin, and they do not know why simply the company doesn't want them back. And to be very honest, neither I can tell you why the company doesn't want you back, because I do not have access to your personal file, or whoever has access to your personal file and whatever is written there or whatever was happening during your flying career, or I really have no idea. I cannot go into personal discussions or into details of what might be the things, and the things can be a lot, definitely. Nevertheless, nobody can reveal that, because it is something called, I wouldn't say it's a secret, but it's a protection of what the company owns in terms of, in Germany we say Datenschutz, and that will be basically protection of information, which is very important in the aviation industry. So do other industries as well. Nevertheless, when the aviation is going to recover, I will give you a quick answer to this question, but the full explanation is again in the video, in the link below, in the description box below. But the aviation industry will recover, and we will be living in the so-called new normal, when we will be having the exact passenger number of 4.5 billion as the pre-pandemic. And why this is so important? For the simple reason is that those 4.5 billion passengers were serviced by the number of aircrafts that was present at that time. Now we have a lot of aircrafts that are still grounded. Therefore, we want all the aircrafts to be up in the air flying, because when the aircraft is on ground, it is losing also massive amount of money. The airline who owns the aircraft or the organization is losing massive amount of money. Nobody wants that. Believe me, every airline would want to have their maximum number of cabin crew. This is how the aircraft manufacturers are actually surviving, the industry surviving. They are producing aircrafts, and they are working basically for the airlines, and therefore opening of new jobs comes from here. Therefore, we have to wait for the passenger number to go above 4.5 billion in order to increase the demand where cabin crew personnel will be needed. And this is an opportunity for you to reapply again. Definitely you will be looked as somebody who has who is a step forward than a fresher than the other candidates. But you have to have in mind one thing. If you have resigned from your previous job as a cabin crew, and there is a gap of 2 or 3 years where you literally did nothing, and you are reapplying again, I seriously believe that the airline will not take you back, for the simple reason nothing has happened to your skills. perhaps your skills are even on a lower level than they were before. If you showcase that the skills are still there, are still present, even if you had 3 years of gap before you start flying, then that is fine. But in future, these gaps will be something that the recruiters will be looking into. If you have resigned for an educational purposes, then that is completely fine. If you have resigned, I don't know, you got married, you found a family, now you want to go back, that is also perfectly fine. However, if you have resigned and you have done literally nothing, then that's the time when you're supposed to be worrying of how you are going to be fulfilling those gaps. And there are a million ways to fulfill the gaps, I can promise you that, through education, through work, through voluntary work, etc., etc. But as an experienced cabin crew, I'm very sure that you know how you can position all those things and actually make your CV outstanding, because now more than ever it is very important how your curriculum vitae looks like. I would always refrain from using resume. Resume is something that is a short explanation of who you are, and when it comes to the airlines in the Middle East, they are very interested to know everything about us in terms of professional development, in terms of skills and growth, and this is why we're supposed to be aiming for having a CV. Last but not the least, when you will be opening the webpage of Qatar Airways or Emirates or Etihad, you would see very clearly when you're making your online profile that there is a section where it says upload your CV. It doesn't say upload your resume. With having all these things said, thank you very much for watching this video. You might also want to click the subscribe button as mentioned at the very beginning for all the content that it's coming over here. And I'm going to be seeing you very soon with a lot of content that has been determined by your questions on my Instagram account, excrewnextcrew. Thank you very much and have a nice day.